Hi everyone. So, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Can you see me right? Great. Okay. I just muted everyone because there's going to be a lot of people. Hi. Some faces I know, that's really nice. So yeah, I muted everyone because theoretically we should be like 100 people, something like that. So you are muted right now, but it's really nice to see your faces. Good. We're going to wait just a bit more in order for everyone to have time to connect. So just grab a cup of coffee or tea or your favorite poison, anything it is. Ça va, Caroline, merci, et toi? Okay, so can everyone still hear me? Perfect. Still seeing me all right, good. Yes, 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 perfect. Okay, so if you happen to have a technical problem, or if I have one, we'll just restart the thing. So you can just disconnect and then come back. You will still be accepted in the room, so that's no problem, okay? And if you have to go sooner or do anything you have to do, please do. You do not have to attend. And this session is recorded, so you'll get the record at the end. Theoretically, you'll get a link by email or something like that. Okay, so are you ready? All right, perfect. So for those who don't know me, and there is a lot of you here, I think, my name is Anne-Sophie. I'm an English and Spanish into French literary translator. And I've always been passionate about time management and how to schedule everything you have to do within the 24 hours you have in your life. And that's the reason why I started working with LSP.expert like a bit more than a year ago. I discovered the tool and really liked it, then contacted the team and started working with them. And that's the reason why I'm with you today. So what we're going to do is first we're going to spend something like half an hour just talking about productivity. I want to share with you 5 tips that I find useful when you need to be a bit more productive as a translator or interpreter. And then I'll show you the basic functionalities of LSP.expert. So if you are already a user, maybe you learn some things. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, we're planning on doing other webinars for more specialized users about productivity and outsourcing and things like that. So we're going to focus today on basic functionalities for new users. But you have time after that to ask your questions. If I don't have time to answer every question, or if I can't technically do it, I'll come back to you after. Okay, so I'll try and share my screen. Okay, this one, I guess. Okay. Okay. Can you tell me in the chat what you can see? This one, I'm sure it is. Do you have a big welcome on your screen? Yeah, my screen, obviously. Thanks. Okay, great. Perfect. So welcome, everyone. Just out of curiosity, I just wanted to know if many of you are interpreters or if we have a lot more of translators. So can you just type in a bit? If you're a translator, okay, subtitlers also. Okay, mostly translators, some interpreters and translators. Well done, guys, that's really impressive. Some editors, okay. Perfect, so Halina, you can't hear me. Maybe try and just restart Zoom. I think everyone can have, yeah. Okay, good. So mostly translators here, but also interpreters. And the thing I find always interesting is that interpreters usually also are translators, which is nice. Okay, so are you freelancers or working for a company, a translation company or intern company? Okay, only freelancers right now. All right. Okay, some of you are working in a team, some of you are outsourcing. Okay, perfect. And have small agencies, of course. All right, perfect. So obviously, seeing your status, you know a lot of things about not having time to do everything you'd like to do within a day. 24 hours can be quite short, right? And that's the reason why I wanted to really talk to you about productivity. But first of all, I wanted to show you that I am a freelance translator, but I also work with a really small team, which is LSP.expert's team. The two most important people of LSP.experts are Caroline and Cedric. Caroline is a freelance translator and she's the co-founder of LSP.expert. And Cedric, he's a programmer, he's the IT guy in the thing. He's also the co-founder of LSP.expert. And there is two more of us with really long names. First one is Eva-Lena Vermeersch. She's a productivity consultant and she's doing marketing for us. And I am Anne-Sophie Clercq, I'm a translator, and I'm in charge of sales and presentations. All right. So why speak about productivity? Well, productivity is really the measure of efficiency, which is the ability to avoid wasting your time, your money, your resources, your energy, etc. So being productive is, in fact, making the best of the 24 hours we all have in a day. As mostly freelancers, I guess you feel that you don't have enough time and that maybe sometimes days are a bit too long. Right now, we are in a really strange situations and some of us have really, really long days. And it's not always easy to be productive when you are a translator or an interpreter. So I have just some pieces of advice for you. Don't become a monkey, it's just an image. To say first that you should really take a good look at yourself. What do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? Okay, so what are your strengths? If you are, I don't know, really specialized into finances, are you really good at that? Is that really what you enjoy? And where do you see yourself within a few years, within a few months? Because we are more productive when we enjoy really what we do and when we work in the fields that we are good at. And I don't mean that you should only specialize in doing only things you're really good at. You can obviously discover different things, because curiosity is a big part of our business and our activity as translators and interpreters. But maybe think about playing your strength. So that's the first piece of advice I would give you about productivity, which seems a bit odd because we don't think about productivity as the way we do things. It's mostly about time, but it's really important to know what you can do and what you can do well. And knowing yourself also implies knowing about your limits, okay? Knowing about, for example, your work rhythm. Are you able to work 10 hours a day? Personally, I can't. Usually I work like 4 or 5 build hours a day, because I know that I can do much more if I want to translate well. Are you better at doing maybe some kinds of tasks in the morning, others in the afternoon? Personally, if I have a revision, I will do it in the morning because I need all my concentration. And then in the afternoon, I'm more creative. So I'm doing mostly the basics of my translations in the afternoon. How many hours can you work being really efficient? So be honest about that and set your limits, okay? It's really important to set your limits, time limits, workload limits, contacts limits, things like that. Because it is within those limits that you will be able to be more productive. And it also implies saying no to some clients, saying no to some projects that could seem really interesting. But always remember that when you say no to something, in fact, you're just giving more time to another task, to another client, okay? So saying no is in fact saying yes and being better at doing something else for your really important clients. All right, so let's say you say yes to the tasks you're really good at and really enjoy doing within your own limits. That's really good, you're being productive. Please work, but don't forget to chillax. Because if you overwork yourself, you can't take care of yourself, and then you do a really poor job. The thing is that as translators and interpreters, we use a lot of different tools, but the tool that is most important for us is ourselves. It's our brain, it's our hands for the translators. It can seem a bit odd, but it's really important. Our body, because we need to feel well when we're just tapping like crazy people. Interpreters need to take care of their voices. That's something we tend to forget about, but really important also. So when you know your limits and you respect them, you have time to really relax and reset, and then to be more efficient doing work for your clients and being the best you can be at serving them. So chillax a bit, even if it seems like it's really hard sometimes wherein we are a bit overworked. The fourth piece of advice I would give you is not eating more cookies than you do right now. You could, it's always good to eat cookies, but it's just to think when you're working, just think that you're creating cookies, because when you prepare a batch of cookies, you won't do just prepare one cookie, the dough for it, and just putting the chips in it, and then cooking it. No, you're going to prepare a batch of cookies, you're going to prepare 20 cookies, and then cook them at the same time, okay? You can think about your tasks, like, for example, administrative tasks, invoicing, sending quotes, updating your TMs or your glossaries, things like that. Do them in batch. You will spend much less time if you do the same kind of tasks at the same time. So you could decide that you spend, for example, 1 hour a week just doing all your invoices or all your payments. You don't have to fix an amount of time, but just remember that it's better to do all of those little things all at once than just doing one and then the other and then the other. Because every time you have to, for example, relaunch your invoicing program or things like that. So being productive also implies thinking strategically and batching every similar task you have. And last but not least, to apply the 4 pieces of advice I gave you before, you really need tools. We are really lucky because we are interpreters and translators that work at the age of digital things. That's really nice because we have an easy access to a lot more information than people did before, and we can use tools to help us manage our business, manage our translations, manage our missions as interpreters. So the important thing is that you need, obviously, physical tools. Like you need a good desk, you need a good chair, you need maybe glasses, you need, well, everything to work, but you also need software that can help you. We use CAT tools, for example. Do you have a good, I don't know, editor, things like that. So think about all the kind of tools that you could use, because those tools have to help you know yourself, know your limits, and batch your tasks. That's the most important things. So productivity, for me, implies really knowing yourself, set limits and say no, take some time off, because that's really, really, really important, batch anything you can, and also, maybe most importantly, use the right tools, okay? All right, so do you have any ideas about productivity, things you use, I don't know, software you use to yourself be more productive, or just to organize your day? Because I'm gonna talk about LSP.expert, of course, because that's a tool I use and that I find interesting, but maybe you use different things. So just feel free to share in the Zoom chat. Okay. So Ambra uses Trello to plan her schedule. Okay, that's really nice. Toggle, Pomodoro. Yeah, the Pomodoro technique is really nice. It's just a technique that you set a certain amount of time that you have to work. Usually it's 25 minutes and then you have 5 minutes pause. And people use timers just to make sure that they are doing that. Okay. Ellen has developed Excel sheets for scheduling, planning, and project administration. Okay. Okay, Trello's really a popular one. Toggle also, and Rescue Time, yeah. And Adelaide is really old school. That's so nice. Just uses a clock. That's amazing. Okay, cool. Perfect. All right. Thanks for sharing. That's really nice to know that some of the tools I use are really, really interesting for colleagues also. Okay. Well, so just before I start presenting LSP.expert, could you just tell me if you already use it? I know some of you do. Okay. Some just started. Okay, perfect. Yes, I'm loving it. That's great. A lot of love from people. Thank you so much. Okay, that's cool. So again, for those of you who are already seasoned users of the tool, don't worry, we're gonna prepare for you some webinars about a bit more detail than this one. Anyway, I'm gonna start just by saying, just going back to the journey of a project. Whereas you're a translator or interpreter, usually a project starts with receiving an email or a message from your client, or just meeting someone who says, okay, I need this kind of thing. Okay. You receive files or more information about your task, and then you have to define your price, the price you're gonna rate that project. You send a quote to your potential client or existing client that needs a new project. And then if she says yes, you can start working or outsourcing. That's something we start doing usually when we are a bit more seasoned. And then you have to manage your job, just know all the time how many pages you've translated, for example, or how much time you've spent on creating your glossary or something like that. When you're done, and you're done well because you're a really good professional, you deliver your translation or you perform your interpretation, then you send an invoice. And actually that's something I really like, is reporting, because this way you know if you have been efficient and productive. And then everyone's happy. Okay, so that's the basic journey of any project. So when you are a translator or an interpreter and need to manage a project, it usually revolves around three big poles, which are the jobs. You need to manage your files, you need to manage the time you're spending on it, you need to really work on your job. You need to manage everything that's about accounting or management, basically. And then you need to manage your clients and suppliers. And to do that, and we've seen it in the chat, usually we use a lot of different tools. We've seen Excel. We know that some people still use a good old file management system, just writing on little pieces of paper. You can use really accounting tools. There's a lot of those for small companies. But the thing is that you can get lost between those. And when your data is not centralized, it can be really hard to manage everything you have to do and to have a look, really a global vision of what you've been working on. Okay. And that's the reason why I personally chose to work with LSP.expert, because it's a one-stop solution that just centralizes every kind of tool you might need to manage your jobs, your accounting, and your clients and suppliers. So LSP.expert is just a software which is cloud-based. We have a lot of questions about the cloud. The reason why I chose the cloud is because it allows access on any kind of device, so you can work with LSP.expert on a tablet, a phone, or a computer. Also, you always have the latest version, and updates are automatic. You have backups, so if you have introduced documents, if you have every information about all your clients in LSP.expert, it's never lost. And also, you have access to a real-time chat support, which can be really useful when we are stuck with a little task we can't do. Okay, so what does LSP.expert do? It's basic and not that basic, but it will help you plan tasks and organize projects, manage clients and suppliers. You can also send quotes and invoices, outsource some jobs, and you can also track time, productivity, and profitability, as well as keeping an eye on your incomes and expenses. All right, so if you're ready, we're going to the demo right now. So if you have an LSP.expert account, just go to your account. If you don't have one, you can just go to the www.lsp.expert and set up an account. You don't have to do it, but if you want to do it and try the software just at the same time as I am doing it, you can do it. You just need like a minute, I think, to set up your account. It's really quick. And so just for the time to do that, I'll check the chat and you can ask maybe questions you would have already. Okay, so Joseph, I'm sorry if I butcher your name, asks, when the connection to the internet breaks down or is poor, then you can't access the tool, obviously, and it's not updated if you want to add anything. Okay, so can everyone access the website? if wanting to. You don't have to, I show everything. So for those of you who already have an account, what I'm gonna do is really show the basic functionalities by starting with a completely new account. So that will be maybe easier for some of you to see how it works. Michelle asks, will you enlarge on the reporting section? I won't focus on that today. I'm going to show some of the reports you can create, but not everything, and we're planning on just doing a webinar about that. Okay, so Caroline signed up for a 30-day free trial last year. Okay. Okay, so as I was let you know at the end, there is really a free trial, 30 days usually, and if you don't use really your 30 days for trying the tool, that's okay. You can just send an email, and usually we just give a bit more days to do that. Okay, so I'll stop sharing this and go to my other screen, if it will work, which is here. Okay. So I just have to log in. Can everyone see my screen still? Okay. Perfect. All right. So this is really the first screen you see when you connect to your LSP.expert account. You can see that you have a section about jobs, a section about people with your clients and your suppliers. You have a section with all your quotes, the same about accounting with your invoices, expenses, and purchase orders, if you have some. And you have a report section with a lot of different reports. We're trying on those right now, and I'll show you a bit later. Some of them, I'll show you monthly sales, I'll show you sales by service performance, and sales by client, I think. And then you have a whole big section about settings. I won't delve in it right now because it's a bit too much. Again, we're going to do a webinar about that. But you can see that you can really personalize almost everything in the software to really fit your brand and to really fit the way you want to use it, and your clients need to see documents that you send to them. Okay. So let's start by just creating a job, okay? If I want to do that, I just have to click on Add a Job and specify the name of the job. Let's say it's my first job, okay? Then I can specify my client. You can see here that I have no one right now because it's a whole new account. So I just have to click on the little plus and create my client number one. When I'm done with that, I won't have to enter again my client number one because the software learns everything I just introduced in it. So it's going to know for the next time that client one has to exist. It's the same with a service. Let's say it's, I don't know, I'm asked to translate from English to French a document of 1,000 words. All right. And you can see that I don't have units yet. I can just add words, and the software will remember that I have a unit that's called words. Let's say that's for today. I can set the date and the time. Let's say it's for today at 6. And then I just add my job, and LSP.expert creates a job, okay? So you can see here all the details you need to know about the job. So the client number one, if I click on this, it would send me to my client section. You can say, if you have a project manager, your purchase order, everything, you can edit everything just by clicking on edit job, And you can see here that I can modify everything I want to modify, okay? So I don't have anything to modify, so that's all right. And you can see here on the left that I should have an income estimate, but that the software couldn't calculate it because it doesn't have enough data. Of course, I haven't set my rates yet. So in order to do that, I can manage the service for my client and just add here the unit costs, for example, 14 cents a word. Let's not be cheap, guys. And you can see that automatically here my income estimate is evaluated, okay? So I have created my job, I have fixed the price, so I know what I can quote to my client right now. And then I can go back to the job list and I can see that my job has been created, okay? The nice thing, something I really like about LSP.expert, is that when you have an amount that is evaluated, you can then go to your report section, see your monthly sales, and automatically the amount will be added to this section, okay? You can see here that there is a little I next to the amount because it just calculates it including the invoice estimates. I have not yet invoiced this job, so when I will have done that, the I will have disappeared. I'll show you that later, okay? So I have my first job for my client number 1. I know that I should ask for 140 euros. The nice thing is that you can, well, modify your rates at any time, but you can also, for example, set a fixed price. I know that for interpreters it can be really useful because usually you will invoice per day. And maybe you just want to use a different unit here. Maybe you want to, I don't know, schedule a number of hours another day, and then you can add a fixed price here. I don't have to do it here, but anyway. Okay, so when I'm done with that, you can see here that I can also add some notes, just adding a note. It can be, I use this section when I have a recommendation from my client or when my client says, okay, you should refer to that website in order to do the job. So I use that. All right, so that's the way you create a job, okay? I just check the conversation to see if you have any questions about that. Okay, yes, you can edit the currency, you can do that here in the section in the job or automatically in settings. I send the request to the developer because it really likes those. Clients will send me an analysis. Yes, you could add an analysis. I'll come back to that later. Okay, so we have created the job right now. I'm going to show you how it works now to send a quote to your client. Okay, so to do that, it's really simple. You go back to your job and you click on create. You can see that you can create an invoice, a partial invoice, which can be quite useful for some jobs, and also create simply a quote. So it directly sends you to this display with, again, every information you need to really add to any kind of quote. And you can modify everything. So for example, the quote number, it will be incremented automatically by LSP.expert, but you can choose another way of displaying it. It could be, for example, 2020-001. It doesn't really matter. You can choose and it will be added automatically. You can choose a document configuration, and you can add every information about your client. So for a quote to be legal, you have to add the address. I never know if I need 2Ds. Anyway, add. The country also, and maybe, I don't know, in Europe, a VAT number could be useful. And every information I introduced here will be automatically populated to my client account right when I save it. Okay. You can see that you can also add taxes. So for example, in Belgium, we're really lucky. We have a really low VAT of 21% for the kind of things we do. I can save it, and again, automatically, it would be just associated to that client, so I won't have to add it later. Okay, so when you have introduced any information you need to add, you can see here that I'm creating a quote about my first job with a unit cost of 14 cents a word for 1,000 words, which makes a total of 140 euros, including VAT. Okay, here you can see, I won't just go too deep in that, but you can add your terms, which is really important when you send a quote or an invoice. This is something you can create in your settings, and we're going to do a webinar about all that also, because it can take sometimes, and it's really important to do it right. And again, add notes to your client. So that's notes for my client number 1. And I update it, and then it will be added to my document. Okay, so my quote is ready. I now have 2 options. I can create a PDF of the quote and send it the usual way to my client, or I can send it to my client directly by email from LSP.expert through my personal email address. So first of all, just to create the PDF, just click on Action, generate a PDF, and you can see that it's gonna register within your files, and then you can open it, and it looks like that. We have different kind of layouts that you can choose from your settings. That's the basic one that's automatically offered. So you see any information you had to introduce, all about your client, everything about the quote, the number of the quote, the date, the validity date, details about the job, and also the note to your client. If you had terms and things like that, legal information, it would go to the second page. Okay, so I have my PDF file, but as I said, you can also send an email quote. In order to do that, just click on Send an Email Quote, and you can see that you have to add a contact. Let's say client contact, and the email is this one. I add a contact, and automatically this contact will appear anytime I need to send a quote or an invoice to that client. You can modify the email, you can modify the subject, the email, just add a signature or something like that. And you can see that the attachment corresponds to the quote you want to send. You just send it, and then your client gets it. Okay. So if I go back to my jobs, I can see here that it's now automatically on hold because I sent a quote, but I didn't get a response yet. And also I can find back my quotes right here with details about the email I've sent. So now I know that the email has been delivered, not opened yet, but it has been sent. Okay, I think that's about it for quotes. Yeah. So I'm gonna just check if you have questions or things about that. How to add multiple jobs. I'm gonna show you how you can add multiple jobs for the same clients. You can add proofreading to the same job. Yeah, there is a functionality that helps you just merge different jobs to create a project, and you can decide that you have a project, for example, with translation and rewriting and everything. Automate the filling of the data based on client name. Yeah, so when you first introduce every information about the client, I'm going to show you right now, everything is automatically filled on. You can set a currency for each client. Yes. Is it possible to convert a quote into a job once it will be accepted? No, you have to create the job first, then from it create the quote, but you can eliminate the job if the quote isn't accepted. You can add your company logo to quotes and invoices, of course. That's part of the settings. When you create your account and go to settings, you can just add your logo, every legal information about your company, really everything you need. Can you replace the LSP.expert logo? Yes, it won't be the LSP.expert logo. It is here because it is my logo for that account. But in my personal account for my company, I have my Outlet logo. So yeah. You can generate the quote in different languages. Yes, as you have seen quotes, you can decide on the language of documents you use. So you can create documents in several languages you can choose from. And you can also, we had a question earlier today about Greek. You can use it, for example. Is Polish supported? I guess so. I have to check because I know you have some diacritics that cannot show well. So yeah, Monica, I'll come back to you with that. Different languages for every kind of client. Yeah, exactly. And you can group jobs within the same number. Yeah, exactly. Okay, perfect. So I'll go on just to show you yeah, what you can see in this job display. So again, this is our first job. You have seen that automatically it is on hold because the quote has not been accepted yet. I can go back to quotes, change the status of my quote to accepted. So no, it's going to be added to my jobs. And you see that the job has been created. Okay. Let's say I'm starting to work on this first translator job and it is in progress. You can see, first of all, that the due date is in blue because it is today, okay? So if you have a job for today, it will display in blue. If you are late on a job, it will be in red. And if it's just for a few days from now, it's gonna be in just the usual, I don't know, gray color, okay? So my job is in progress. You can see here that I have a note that I have added to it and I can read it from here. And also can see a little green dot right here. You can click on it and it's really useful to know how far you are in the job you're doing. So I don't know, I've been translating like 500 words on my 1,000 here. So I've done 50% of my job. And that's a really nice way to see just really quickly on which job you still need to work more than others. So that can be really useful. Okay, so let's say then I am done with this job. I can mark it as finished. And now I want to invoice it to my client. Okay, so again, my client is client number 1. If I go back to my client, I can see here that I have my client number 1 with my photo, of course, because it's my account. And you can see that I have access to every detail about my client and can modify it. So if you remember, I added this information in the quote. It has been populated to this part of the software. It's the same about contacts. Okay, so you don't have to reintroduce every information every time. Same about services. I define my first service as English to French translation. I have my rate and I can modify it. If I wanted to add marketing notes because I contacted that client and proposed that this or that, I can do it. I can also add all the files I need for that client or from that client. It could be useful if you want to store a TM or something like that. And I have a list of all the jobs I have for my clients and also all the quotes I've sent her. And then I have my invoices. I don't have an invoice right now. So you can see that I can create an invoice from here, but I'm going to do it from the job display, which is easier. To create an invoice for my first job, I click on this little box, then on the arrow, and you can see that I have a lot of different options. I can archive my jobs. I can delete a job from here. I can do a lot of different things. We're going to focus on invoicing the selected jobs. I just click on it and it automatically creates my invoice number 1. And it's just like with the quote, you can edit every information you need within your invoice. So for example, let's say that you have delivered your translation a bit late. It's not that nice. So you're going to apply a 10% discount for this client. You save it and automatically it's updated. Okay. And again, just like we've done for the quote, you can just generate PDF or email the invoice. So again, just so that you can see what it looks like. An invoice looks almost completely like the quote with your company information, your client's information, the invoice basic information, and all the details you need. I'm going to show you a bit later that you can invoice, quote and invoice several jobs at the same time, which is really, really useful because we've been talking about batching. That's really nice. And then if you do that, you will have all the jobs for the client with all the details inside the invoice that you sent. Okay, so if I go back to reports, if you remember, in my monthly sales reports, I had 140 euros at first because that was what I had quoted. Now I have invoiced the job, so the little I has disappeared because everything has been invoiced. And you can see that the amount has been automatically updated. Okay, I think that's all I need to show you about jobs, quotes, and invoices. Okay, I'll go back to your questions right now. Okay. Okay, so if you want to send a translation and that you have fees for sending it, for example, you can add a line in your invoice and just adding the amount. The emails you send, there is always a copy sent to you so that it appears inside your mailbox. You can hide the price per word when sending the quote. If you want to do that, it would be easier to just display, in fact, just the amount you want to quote, and you can do that. Okay, for lists of jobs that run longer than 1 page, I still have to see, but I think we've been working on that, so I just have to confirm. Yes, you can add text in front of the invoice number, no problem. So if you have an invoicing system that implies introducing the name of your contacts, you can do it, no problem. So you can, individualize everything. So the picture to your client's detail is just added automatically depending on if your client has added a picture to his or her email account. Okay, can I see an overview of the amount of words I have planned per day? No, you can do this right now. And adding a line, you have to retype the information. So I'm going to show you right now. If I go back to accounting, I have my invoice. I can modify it. Obviously, you shouldn't do that if you have sent it already because it's not legal. But you could just, I think, maybe you can't do it. No. So you could update here and maybe add an information. But I'm going to show you here that you can add another job, so a job that already exists, or add a new line that could be fees for sending the thing. It's like 10 euros. You add it and it's automatically added to the amount with the VAT. Okay. I go back to the questions. I'm done. Okay. Okay, not to your contacts, your own photo. Yes. Yeah, you can modify your photo in your settings. So that's quite easy. I'll come back to you, Ellen, if you want more details on that. Don't worry about that. And you can modify unit after that. I'm not going to show you all the details, but you can still modify everything. We'll come back to that in another webinar. Okay, so I just showed you how you can create a job, a basic job that you will invoice at your normal rates. But it can happen that we have a job, let's say it's my second job, still for my client number one. It's also an English to French translation, and I also have 1,000 words. But the thing is that I'm using a CAT tool. It could be, well, LSP.expert works with a lot of different CAT tools, most important ones, MemoQ, Trados, for example. And you can see here that I can edit the matches and also the matches automatically. I'm not going to show you how it works automatically today because it's a bit complicated, but you can really add the matches to your job. So for example, let's say I have 1,000 words, okay, but I have fuzzy correspondences, okay, and I have 500 words with fuzzy correspondences. So basically, for that client, I'm doing English to French translation. I've already set my service for that at 14 cents a word. So I'm supposed to get 140 euros. But depending on the correspondences I can have in my CAT tool, it's going to change. So let's say I have 500 fuzzy words. I have, what can we have? Perfect matches. Okay, let's say I have 250 of those, okay. And then I have new words. So you can see here that I'm adding CAT tools categories. I won't have to do it again because it will be automatically populated to my settings. And I have 250 new words, okay. I add it. You can see that I have all my different types of CAT tool correspondences here, but my income estimate has not been updated yet because I still have to define how much I'm going to rate every type of category. So fuzzy won't be that much, it will be like 10 cents. My perfect matches will be a bit less, let's say half of it. And I still have new words that are still 14 cents a word. And I can see automatically that my income estimates have been updated, okay? And so if I do it again for my client, I will have every information about that already set. I don't have to reintroduce everything, okay? You can see that it is in red because I'm late on that job. And if I go to my monthly report sales, it's been added automatically to my amount for this month with the invoice estimates of that. So again, once you have set every kind of correspondence you can use with your CAT tool, you won't have to do it manually again. And even better, you can set everything to be done automatically when importing a file from an analysis from your CAT tool. I won't show you it here, but it's really useful with Trados and MemoQ. Okay, I'll go back to my jobs and your questions just to see where we're at. Yes, I can show you about time tracking. I'm going to do that. Yes. Okay, so you can change the decimal divider. You can use a full stop instead of a comma. You just have to choose it in your settings. It's quite easy to do. Official translation record. Yeah, I don't have an example for an official translation record because I don't do that. But theoretically, you can introduce the name of the job just as any other job and really specify any detail you need. So yeah, you can enter the client's CAT tools price somewhere. I just showed you that. and you can set different rates for each client exactly. Yeah, so that's quite useful. Okay, so about time tracking, I'm going to create a new job just to show you how it works. Yeah, just before I do that, you can see that I have an alert here, which just says that I'm late in that job. In this part of the software, you will see every job you were late on, but also every quote you're still waiting for an approval, and every invoice that is in late payment. So that's really nice. And when you have an invoice with a late payment, you can send a reminder to your client from the invoice directly. Okay, so I want to create a third job for, let's say, a new client. So I just have to create this new client, which will be done quite easily. And let's say it's a revision, a review. I don't know if you say how you say it. I just add revision. Usually, when I do editing or reviewing, I won't do it per word because you never know what you're going to get. So I work per hour. Okay, so let's say I have 3,000 words to review for, I don't know, let's give ourselves some time, the 5th of May. Okay, I just create my task. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to specify exactly in my job details that I want to use time-based invoicing. I just have to check the box here, and automatically it will calculate the time that I enter into the software. So how it works is that if I save it, it's going to ask me which unit I want to use to calculate the time on that job. I just have to add it once, and then it would be automatically registered by the software. Okay. And when I'm done with that, I can, again, manage the service for my client. So let's say it's a revision, I'm working per hour. And I'm going to say I want 60 euros an hour. Okay. So I have my cost, everything, but you can see that I still don't have an estimate because I have not started working on a task. And so LSP.expert has not yet registered any time working on a task. Okay, so my job is ready. I want to invoice it per hour. And you can see here that I have created my job, and I have a little arrow here that can allow me to start tracking my time for that job and that job only. I click on it. You can see a red dot appearing here. If I click on it, I have every detail about the task I'm tracking right now, and I can stop tracking my time for this job. Okay, so it will increase as I'm adding time to the job automatically right here. Or let's say I've been working outside and I didn't have access to LSP.expert, but I know that I've been working 30 minutes on that time, okay, on that task, sorry. I can click on time tracking and just add a time automatically. Let's say I begin today at 9 and I've been working for 30 minutes, okay. I add the time and you can see that it's automatically added to my total, okay. All right, I just checked that it's done. Okay, that's what I thought. It doesn't update, I don't know why, I just have to check that. But anyway, okay, so when you're done with that, when you're done with your task, you can just then invoice it. I'll show you again how you invoice that. So you can create an invoice from here so that you can see how it works also. I create my second invoice and you can see that it will just add the amount of time I've spending. I haven't been spending enough right now, but it will just update the line total and just really display the time I've been working on and the money my client owes me. Okay. I go back to your questions. Yes. yeah, it's the same about 1000 divider. Theoretically, you can just choose what you want in your settings. Yeah, I'll go back to the cloud. How safe is the data is really important for translators and interpreters that work a lot with really delicate clients. All the servers we use are really protected and are Europe-based. So that's important, but I'll come back to you with more detail about that later. Again, the number formats. Okay. Yes, you can export all your data and just manage it from there. And if you want to really delete your account, any kind of data you had on it will be completely deleted. Okay, perfect. So I keep on going. So I showed you how you can just create quotes, invoices with different types of units. I can now show you maybe a different task, a fourth job. Again, it could be for my client number one. Let's say it's English to French translation. I'm gonna work per word and I have 2000 words. Again, in May. Okay, so I created my job. I should get 280 euros from that. If I go to my reports, I can see that automatically it has been added with the other task for May, and that my total also has been updated. Okay, so let's say that on that job, okay, I'm paid per word. That's really nice. But what is even nicer is to know how much time you were spending on a task. And then at the end of it, just knowing how much you have made per hour, for example. That's really important to know how productive you are and to know about your profitability. That's really, really important when you have to set your rates and really know with which clients it's most interesting to keep on working. Okay, so let's say I track my time and I stop it. You can see here that I don't have a profitability yet because I have not invoiced my task or marked it as finished. Okay, I'm just going to ask a bit more time so that you can see. Okay, it won't be realistic, but it's going to work theoretically. So if I go back to my job list and I say that my fourth job is finished right now, I can go back to my job and see that I have an amazing profitability of more than 16,000 euros an hour. That can be really interesting, again, to set your rates. For example, if you know that you have been working 10 hours on a 2,000 word jobs, it means that you haven't been really productive, but that maybe you haven't been paid enough because maybe the text was really much more complicated than you thought it would be. So that's important to just check sometimes how efficient you are on your tasks and what you can do better, again, to really focus on what you're good at and what you really enjoy. Okay, so some of you asked me about batch invoicing. I'm going to show you that right now. Let's say I have finished my second job and my fourth job. I can, in fact, just click on both of those. I just have to check the boxes for every job I want to invoice. Click on the arrow again and invoice the selected jobs. And you can see that both jobs have been added to the invoice. It's going to be exactly the same if you want to quote multiple jobs at the same time. And then I just have to generate my PDF or send my invoice by email. And you can see that everything appears right here. So I have my fourth job and my second job with my delivery dates. If I want to display it, if I don't want to, it won't be there. And with the unit cost and every information you need for your invoicing. Okay, maybe I'm going to show you some different reports. we don't have a lot of information right here in the document, but anyway. So I have showed you monthly sales. The interesting thing is that you can see right now that everything has been invoiced right now. So everything is invoiced for the month of April. I can choose to display it by client. So for my client number 1, I only have this. And for my client number 2, I have different tasks and I can just select those. Okay. On the report, something that's interesting also is the sales by service. So you can see that I have done English and French translation, but also a bit of revision. And I can see how many words I have been doing for, again, some client, some year, anything, some kind of service, specific service. What else? I can see my sales by clients again. So my client 1 is much more interesting than my client 2. And anytime you have a new client, it's going to be added automatically to the report. Also, your performances, that's really interesting. You have, for example, for English to French translation, I see that I have been translating, I'm really good at my job, 120,000 words an hour. That's really nice. And I've been revising 6,000 words an hour. So that's not realistic, but you can really see every detail for every month and a grand total for any of your services. You also have a profitability by client, which is nice because you know how much you're making an hour for that client. So again, knowing yourself and knowing your client. With performances, you know how good you are at some tasks and not others. And with this report about your clients, you know which client is more interesting for you. Okay. I think we're done. So you see that we have a lot of different other reports. I haven't shown you in accounting. I have shown you invoices. Okay, so you can again update the status of an invoice. If you have sent, it's not by email, it won't be automatic, but you can do it anyway. If it has been paid, and also if it has been credited, you can create credit notes also. And then I think I'm done with it. So yeah, a lot of other reports that we're gonna really dive in more advanced webinars, so you can have all the information you need. All right, so I'll stop sharing my screen right now. You can see my face again. Hi. Are you keeping up? Is everybody all right? Okay. Okay, so I just read a few more questions just to see where we're at. Okay. Chat within the software. Yeah, there is one. You know how much you have made. Yeah, you only know how much you have made when you have been paid. That's quite all right. Exactly. But it's interesting to be able to make some provisions and just to know a bit. And the nice thing is that if you have bad pay as clients, you can send again reminders from LSP.expert directly and know exactly how much you've been not losing, but you don't have yet, thanks to the little I you have in the monthly report, for example. Okay, so the webinar should be an hour and a half with the questions, but if you are not interested in the questions, you can go anytime you want. Months up a date invoice. Yes, you will receive a copy of this recording. Okay, so the average profitability per day, week, month in terms of what's translated and money billed. I don't think you can do it per day or week, but you can definitely do it per month and per year. So you can see also, that's really interesting when you're starting as a translator or interpreter. You can see how you have been evolving and just translating a bit more quick or things like that. Paid invoice versus unpaid invoice. There is an option for that. If you go into your report, you can just decide to display only the amounts that have been invoiced yet, not invoiced, paid or not paid. Okay, yes, there will be other webinars on expenses, on invoicing, partial invoicing, things like that. We're going to do a lot of those. If you're really interested in some subjects, just drop it in the chat, because we really want to be of service and see what you really need. You can select status and those search options. Yes. Yes, the software tells you also when a payment is overdue, of course. If you need to create a job with multiple languages, again, there will be a webinar on that. You can create projects with just basically the basic translation you need to do, and add all the languages as subtasks. It's really easy then also to quote an invoice and just to decide if you display all the details to your client or not. Outsourcing will be a webinar, so yeah. Good, perfect. Okay, so I just finished with that, and if you have more questions, just drop them. I'm gonna share my other screen. I guess it's this one. Yes. Step 2. Okay. All right, so what's next? That's what I've been saying to you a lot more than I should have. We're planning on creating new webinars for already users that are already using LSP.expert, but also for more advanced people, most of all about the Teams sections of LSP.expert, which are a bit more specialized. So it would be mostly about outsourcing, reporting, and CAT tools configuration, automatic CAT tools configuration. So feel free to just send us an email or just drop something in the chat right now if you're really interested in some subjects. But you can just go to the LSP.expert website to get every information on the webinars we're planning on doing. We should do that next week, I think. And also go to Facebook, the LSP.expert account. You can just follow the account to have any information you might need. That's if you're interested in LSP.expert and knowing more about this. If you're interested in productivity, I'm going to give a conference next week within BP 2020. BP is a really nice conference, and I know some people here who have attended already. So this year we won't do it in person, we will do it online, but still I'm going to talk about do less, live more, so how to be more productive and just really enjoy what you're doing and get some time for yourself. And you can get all the information you might need at this address, bbconf.com. Anyway, about the pricing of LSP.expert. So I showed you just the basic functionalities that you will get if you have a freelancer account. If you are a freelancer plus, you can do more. You also have an outsourcing functionality that is more elaborate, that we will talk about in other webinars, and also integrations with, for example, Google Calendar, with your email server and things like that. And if you need to work as a team, you can do it with the team version of the software. Okay, so those are the prices per month. But if you take an annual subscription, and of course I told you that you have a 30-day free trial with any kind of subscription for LSP.expert, you don't have to introduce any information about credit card or anything. So it's really 30 days, completely free, with a complete, with all the functionalities, in fact, of the software. And if you have attended this webinar, which is really nice of you, you can get a 50% reduction for any kind of annual subscription, just by introducing, when you buy the software, just introducing the word webinar, all in capitals, when you create, yeah, not your account, but what you need. Okay, that's about it. I can stop sharing my screen. Yes, good. And go back to your questions. Okay, can we have the software interface in French instead of English? Yes, you can have it French. So right now we support French and English for the interface, but you can set your documents in practically any language, I think. So you can modify that. The job can be sent to the supplier automatically. Yeah, if you have a Plus subscription, it will be done automatically, and you can select between different kinds of suppliers that you can really rate and everything. So that's a really nice functionality. And I'll show it to you in a more advanced webinar. Okay, so this advanced webinar is not scheduled yet because we have to prepare. We're not sure yet if we're going to regroup some themes or if we're going to do something really short about only outsourcing, for example, something like that. But it should be coming within the next few weeks. Yeah. Perfect, outsourcing is interesting. Okay, good. Perfect. Yes, Matteo. I see you next week. That's really nice. Can the invoices be bilingual? No, you have to choose one language, but you can choose one language per client and then change the setting if you want to publish two different versions of the invoice. So you cannot have the two languages within just one invoice, but you can create the same invoice with two different languages. You can export the data and upload it to a different accounting system. Yes, you can do it. I think it will be CSV. Yeah, and you can do it the other way around. So if you're using another accounting system right now, you can import your client data and things like that. Yeah, can be a bit bumpy, so sometimes we need the help from Cedric, but basically it works. Yes. Okay. Does anyone have any question? Feel free to ask or to just drop me an email. You live in Flanders, yeah. Invoice and invoice a French client. Okay, I never thought about that, Caroline. Of course, you do that. I'm gonna ask Caroline, the other Caroline, because I know we've had something like that with clients from Switzerland who had to publish two different kind of invoices. So I'll send you an email with the information. Thanks for the question. Yeah. Okay, BB has bilingual invoices. Okay. And if the VAT is not applicable for courier, you'll have to do a second invoice. Yeah, right now we haven't worked around that, but it's something that a lot of users have been asking about. So we're working technically on that. So that's a nice thing, as we have a really small team with specialist people. We are really aware of what our clients need, and we try and modify LSP.expert depending on what they ask. So the result that you have today is already the result of the experience of a lot of other users. Okay, thanks, Sarah. Additional expenses in a job. Yeah, that's the thing we've been working on. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Should you have any other question, you can just send an email to my address, which is here. Yeah, I just know that. So just send me an email through that or through the LSP.expert Facebook page or web page. You can see that we have a chat integrated to the website. Yeah, if you want to delete a service or a unit, you have to go to your settings and just to the service or unit section and delete it directly from there. Okay, perfect. We don't have a mobile app, but you can totally use LSP.expert on your phone. We don't have apps right now. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you very much, guys. It was really nice. Cool. So I hope you really enjoyed the presentation and that you are a bit more curious maybe about LSP.expert. Feel free to ask me any question. I don't have all the answers, but someone in the team should have the answers I need. So thank you very much. And we'll send you an email with all the information you need to just see again this record if you need it. And again, the discount 15% if you subscribe annually with the code webinar, all in capitals. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Have a good day. Bye. Thanks.